All right, so probably the biggest event of the week was that Meta released their new app called Threads, which is a direct Twitter competitor.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know anything about this?
I know that Instagram's really trying to get me on it.
But
I'm not going to join.
You're not?
No.
I'm
trying to cut social media out as it is, so.
Yeah, I haven't used it. Besides going through the onboarding process, I wanted to sign up because I wanted to be able to speak to it here.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What's your first impressions of it when you downloaded it? Was it like?
I mean, it's
like you said,
it was
nice looking.
Clean. Yeah. It's So I think this probably spawned because Elon purchased Twitter, and they probably saw an opportunity in the market, because I think especially in the last few weeks they've been having Twitter's been having issues supporting the load of Twitter or something. I don't know if you saw this, but
really?
Last week they basically limited the number of posts you could view in a day.
I did see that, and supposedly that was to limit bots from scraping data.
Yeah, I mean that's what he said, but in reality, each on Twitter, each reply is considered a post.
Mm.
So he was limiting new accounts to
so replies count as that in that 500.
Right. So people were literally scrolling for a minute on Twitter and hitting their limit for the day. So was really bad.
That's crazy.
And there were levels depending on if you were a new account, which that is how you would combat the majority of bots, I think, would be, limiting new accounts, which makes sense. But then there was a medium tier, which is the average user.
Right.
Which is not Twitter Blue subscribed, but not a new account, basically. And I think that was people were saying that 15 minutes of just normal scrolling on Twitter and you're done for the day, and it stops you.
So I didn't realize that it was replies as well. I thought it was just tweets, and I was like, well, this seems like a lot. But supposedly he raised them after the first day or something because there was too many complaints. But I actually have the numbers of what he raised them to now.
Okay.
The current Twitter daily limit on tweets you can read is 10,000 tweets. It's 10,000 tweets for verified accounts.
Which is paid accounts.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Verified paid. That makes sense. Unverified accounts could see 1,000, and users with new unverified accounts are 500. So it goes 500, 1,000, 10,000.
I have no issues with limiting the new accounts. I think that makes sense. That probably reduces a lot of bot activity. But the other thing that I've noticed, I never really used Twitter. I have an account, but I never really post it or anything. But I do
Same.
look at things on Twitter every now and then. And one of the things that I noticed is since introducing Twitter Blue or the paid verification, one of the things that resulted in is when you read a tweet, all of the paid users, so the verified users, show up in the replies first, which has really made it a terrible experience, because the majority of those verified accounts are verified to try to promote their business, to try to they've gotten verified to try to show up higher in people's feeds.
Yeah.
And so you're not actually seeing replies to the content. You're seeing these half-assed efforts to take whatever the original tweet was and how can I inject my business into this reply to make it semi-relevant so that when you're reading the replies, I get traffic to my business because I paid for this verification. So it's really been not a great user experience.
It's not as organic as just regular people.
And there's so many crypto scams and things like that show up there now because those are the people that are primarily paying for it.
Interesting.
It's honestly and again, I'm not a power user. I just follow links and read things every now and then.
Yeah.
But from what I've used it is it is a much different experience than prior to him buying it. And you have to scroll a long way before you get to what is actually the most liked reply or the most Interesting reply. So, long story short, I think Meta saw that there was an opening for a Twitter-like product.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to take advantage while they're trying to figure things out over at Twitter.
and I think they recognize that, like, there are certain people that don't like Elon Musk and don't want to be affiliated with Twitter because they don't like Elon, right? And so they have an opportunity to capture those people.
Yeah.
As well.
Is he going to make a car too? They don't want to drive Teslas?
I'm not sure, but I think that's why it came about.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And I think the hardest thing about making a Twitter competitor is getting people to use it, right? So like Twitter is very much like there's strong barriers to entry for competitors because like with any social media, you need a user base to make it interesting, to make people want to be on there.
Yeah.
You need I think Twitter primarily grew through celebrities, right? Like people wanting to follow celebrities and like keep up with them.
It was like news sources and like you could just keep up with. I think it was the place people went to keep up with, like you said, their celebrities, their like daily news feed, and just like what was going on. And I think that's faded out some just because there's so many social medias, that you can do that. I mean, they all post everywhere now.
Right, but if you're a new social media, like that is the bare minimum is that people you want to follow are there, right?
Yeah.
So it's very hard to create a new social media product because you need to build up that user base.
Right.
And so I think Meta is uniquely positioned in the way that, from my experience with the onboarding, the way they're doing it, I think makes a lot of sense because it's basically just an extension of your Instagram account.
Yeah.
So it lets you keep your Instagram username if you want to. So you basically pick, like I have a few Instagram accounts like for this podcast, like for like my personal, and it's like, okay, which Instagram account would you like to convert into or transition into a Threads account, right?
Oh, interesting.
Or you can make a new account if you want. And so I just did like my personal one, and then it's like the next question is, would you like to follow all of your Instagram followers on Threads?
Huh.
So you're literally starting with your entire Instagram base.
Interesting.
Which I think is really
That's
smart.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Because that starts to solve the user base issue.
So if you so let's say someone wants to create a new user on Threads, can they use my Instagram name since I don't have a Threads yet, or is mine taken until I?
They've been advertising keep your Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they basically reserved every Instagram username.
Yeah.
Maybe for a certain period of time.
Gotcha.
So that I haven't heard of anyone like
getting their
username stolen or anything like that.
That's interesting.
Now again, it's a Facebook Meta product at the end of the day. So there is a lot of privacy concerns. Something interesting is that if you cannot delete your Threads account without deleting your Instagram account, which is not great. Like if you don't want to be on Threads anymore, you literally have to be on unless you're willing to delete your Instagram account, which I think Instagram is a lot more personal to people than probably their Threads account, right?
Yeah.
Like Threads is a bit more open to the world, and I think a lot of people use Instagram as like more of a Facebook than a Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Where it's
you
like
can either
much
have
more
it private
personal to them.
or public, up to you.
Which you can do with Threads, like you can do the private public thing as well. But I think just the nature of
photos compared to
exactly, yeah. It's like Threads is more connected to the internet, whereas a lot of people use Instagram just to keep up with their friends and family. So the fact that you can create a Threads account and then you can't get rid of it without deleting this, more established, more personal thing isn't the greatest.
I see the business move there, but I don't personally like it as a.
I mean, it's a very meta.
Very
move.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, because they were the ones that started the sign in with Facebook, right? So you could sign in all these accounts with your Facebook account, but then if you ever delete your Facebook account, then you lose all those other accounts. So it's basically a way to keep people from deleting their Facebook accounts.
Right.
It's pretty smart.
Which is
it's annoying. I don't like it at all, but it's pretty smart. And of course, I stopped using Facebook a long time ago.
Same. Yeah. But for a lot of people, Facebook, Instagram, it's basically a historical photo album.
Yeah.
Right? So you're asking them to delete their personal history.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go in and download everything. Right? So it's a pretty effective way to keep people from full on deleting.
Yeah, they're trying to lock you in their ecosystem.
A few other things. No advertisements on Threads at the moment. Sure, that's going to change.
Oh, yeah.
100%. They want to make it as smooth and seamless to join as possible, and then once they have their base, I'm sure they'll turn on as many ads as
right? That's their revenue source.
Right. But that is interesting. It's interesting as a way to start it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The character limit on Threads is 500 characters versus 280 on Twitter, so it's basically you can write twice as much. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I think the character limit on Twitter is somewhat good for like condensing people to key points, and stopping them from rambling.
Yeah, and since Twitter raised it initially, I think it's been fine. There's been no complaints because then it used to only be like 120 or something like that.
I forget what the original was for like 140 characters.
Yeah, that was a little short, but yeah, the new, what do you say it is now, 280?
280 on Twitter, 500 on Threads.
Yeah, I mean, 280 should be plenty for what we need to say. We're not trying to read books here.
I mean, there are workarounds. Like, there's always been, even in the 140 character days, there's been Twitter workarounds called Tweet Longer. And basically what it is it's a link.
Never doubt the internet.
It's a link that takes you to like an external site that you can literally write like a novel if you want. Which is interesting.
That's hilarious.
And then Threads lets you post up to or attach up to 10 photos on a post. Twitter is 4. I think people mainly use from what I've seen, people mainly use it for writing text, and then maybe they do one photo or something.
I'm just imagining like the guys at Threads being like, "Oh, we're gonna get them with this 10 pictures instead of 4."
Interestingly, it's the same limit that's on Instagram, so there's probably some. They probably just copied some code or something.
They probably.
And then
really getting at those Twitter guys.
Elon said that he will be suing Meta, saying that competition is fine, but cheating is not. And there was, I guess it was like a memo, a warning, a cease and desist style. Did you see this? Message that was sent from Twitter's lawyers.
Yeah, Twitter's attorney sent a formal letter to Meta saying that basically they're suing them because Twitter hired Meta hired former Twitter employees that apparently still had access to confidential data and other trade secrets, and that's what they're suing for. That's one of the things they're suing about.
Interesting. Wow. Twitter did fire a lot of those employees.
They did.
It doesn't necessarily. I'm not sure the legality of. I know there's NDAs and things, but
I wonder what they meant by they still have access to confidential data. Like
that seems like a Twitter problem, not a.
Yeah, it seems like
you should probably close those accounts or
something like that,
or whatever. But
unless they were like allowed to download that stuff on their computers to work on it, and they still have access to like old,
maybe
older data.
But like,
I don't know.
Think about what Twitter is as an idea. Is it like just by just you yourself not being a Twitter employee, looking at the site?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like for people that work at another social media company, Meta, it's not like a super complex thing to replicate. It's a pretty simple idea.
Yeah.
And the only true trade secrets I feel like would be in the algorithm and how things are served to you.
Right.
Which
Meta should already have a
They do Instagram.
Yeah, they do Instagram.
Which
that's like one of the biggest algorithm-driven social medias there are besides TikTok.
And that's what I've heard as a negative for Threads is that what's served to you is very similar to Instagram, and that on Twitter, I guess you can, if you want, you can strictly see who you follow. Like, you can strictly only see tweets from people that you follow. On Threads, it's very much like Instagram, where you see stuff from people that you follow, but every now and then they mix in like people you don't follow, which I don't really love.
Is that like on a separate page? Because like on Instagram, right? Like if you're on your main feed, it's only the people you follow plus sponsored ads. And then if you go to like the Discover page, which is next to it, then it's just everyone.
Yeah, I think.
But if it's going to be a single feed like Twitter,
I think there's only one view at the moment, and it's intermixed between people you follow and random other people it thinks you might be interested in.
Yeah.
So maybe they add like a only following or something, but I have heard that as a complaint that it's like not quite as not quite as specific to exactly what you want to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to actually use it, and we should probably make a Fireside account.
We probably should.
We
already have the Instagram, so yeah we might as well.
Because
I can just use Threads through that instead of making my own.
That's true. I'm always like way behind on new social media, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I want to be ahead on this one.
I think this was the quickest growing social media network in history.
But they made it so easy, right?
That was what I was gonna say. Like everyone was talking about that, but it's like I wouldn't be if they weren't the fastest growing social media network ever. It would be like a huge disappointment for them, right? Because they have access to everyone.
Right.
So it's like it's
so
free.
Easy. It's so much free advertising, and everyone's talking about it.
Like on everyone's story, it's like join my Meta, or my join my thread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like on their stories, and there's like a whole like background that you can put up on your Instagram story that links to Threads.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very integrated.
Oh, it's so easy.
I wonder how. I would love to know the timeline for this. Like, when did they start working on this? Was it before Twitter was even acquired? I mean, I can't imagine you throw this up overnight.
Right.
It sounds like it's well integrated to Instagram. If there's like stuff in your stories and stuff too. Like you can't throw that up overnight.
Yeah, no, it's well thought out for sure. I mean, Twitter was just, when did Elon buy Twitter? Was that
beginning of this year, right?
Yeah, it hadn't even been a year yet. So I doubt you could build a new social media network in less than a year. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I mean, they have a lot of talent at their company. It is Meta.
Yeah.
They probably repurposed their entire metaverse team.
Probably smart on their part.
Can't believe they changed their name still.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm sure we'll have an update on this, kind of how the Threads rollout is going and how people like it and what we're seeing. And
it's always interesting to see how it goes.
I always love when there's a new social media. It's always fun, right? When Snapchat came around, it's like...
Yeah, I still use Snapchat.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people are using it.
Yeah.
I always feel like there's great business opportunities whenever a new social media comes up. Like, every time this one's a little different because it's already so established with Instagram. But, like, typically when a new social media emerges, like TikTok, right? Entire new careers emerge by figuring that platform out.
It's true.
So it's really interesting. And that's why I want to be on top of this one. Especially since we're trying to grow a podcast. So.
I heard this one thing that it's so true. Like Instagram really, I guess it's been since Meta acquired them, or Facebook. They've always been like kind of the copycats, if you think about it. Like Instagram used to be just pictures, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well then Snapchat was big on the stories, right? So then Instagram integrated doing stories.
Yep.
And then the shorts came out.
Yep.
With who was the first one to do shorts?
Well, it was
TikTok
really Vine,
I guess.
But Vine died. Vine was before its time.
Yeah, I think once TikTok started doing it, got so popular, then Instagram came out with Reels along with YouTube, and now they're going into Twitter. So they're really just trying to take over everything that's popular. They just kind of shove in, and I'm not gonna lie, they do a pretty good job of it. Like none of it's been unused. Like the stories are very used on Instagram. The shorts are very used on Instagram.
Yeah.
So they've done well with copying everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like they basically take an idea and put a slightly less than Apple level of polish on it.
Yeah. Right.
Because they have such good talent at their company to take an idea and really develop it in a AAA kind of way. So the only one I don't know about, and maybe it's just because I don't use it, I know they separated out their like Facebook Messenger or something. There's like a Messenger app
there
or
is
something like that, which I don't use, but
there's been a Messenger app for a while now.
So I don't know, maybe that's like, I could see maybe that's really popular internationally or something, but I don't hear a lot of people using that.
So there's the Facebook Messenger app, which is separate from Facebook, but I mean it's integrated but separate, Yeah. But at the same time, they also have the other one. WhatsApp, yeah.
Yeah, that's very popular.
Which is kind of it's interesting that they haven't combined the two. I feel like, unless
it
they're
is
just
interesting.
Because it's literally the same thing, except one is using your Facebook names as your profile, and WhatsApp, I guess you just create your own profile.
I think
just for that.
The issue might be
app.
that you have two very strong brands. Like WhatsApp, they acquired, right?
Right.
So, and internationally, everyone knows WhatsApp as like a name brand.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's big. It's huge.
And on the other side, you have Facebook Messenger, which everyone knows Facebook, right? So you need to cannibalize one of the names, right?
Yeah, you don't really want to do that.
And people have opinions on Facebook. And are you really going to make Facebook Messenger WhatsApp?
Right.
I don't know.
Probably just better to
I guess maybe
let them both operate in their own realm, and
it's kind of like how what's the big like cereal company, like they make everything.
Kellogg's?
Yeah, like how a cereal company will have like 80% of the cereals, but under different brands. You know? Just because people associate the name brand differently.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we spent a lot of time on this one, but it's big news, so.
Yeah.